All right, well, I was wrong yesterday because today I saw the campiest movie in my life. Well, this one was actually a suggestion from a friend, Michelle. She suggested that I watch The Love Witch. So I put that on, not quite knowing what to expect. And just looking at the poster, it seems like this would have been made in like the late 60s, early 70s. But this came out in 2016. And when you start the movie, it very much feels like my initial thought. Like it's late 60s, early 70s. I mean, it very much felt like the 66 Batman show, only with nudity. And just because there's bright colors everywhere, everything is super saturated, and it looks really cool. Super camp. It is like so over the top. It is so like soft focus. It's just hilarious to look at and just be like, there was so many times where like they're being serious in a scene that I'm just laughing my ass off because what they're saying and what they're doing are so incongruous with each other. And there are some scenes where that actually does not work in the film's favor, because as much as this film feels like it's from the 70s, like the way everybody dresses, the way these colors are hyper saturated, and like driving like older cars, and then you'll see like, oh, that's a newer Hyundai, or that's a brand new BMW. Why does this character, oh, maybe it's because they're British. Maybe that's kind of how they're doing a separation, but no. Like, it feels like this place, like this movie took place 40 years ago, and then somebody just pulls out an iPhone, and it's just like, when the hell does this movie take place? I need somebody to give me an actual answer, because like she's not a modern day witch. She is very old school, not like old school like for witches, but like old school like from modern times. This feels very late 60s, early 70s, like everything she wears, everything she does, everything even she says. Her dialogue is very specific, and it fits in that time frame very well. Nobody else talks like that. Like, even the characters that aren't the Love Witch, Elaine, they dress like they're from the 70s. Like, there's cops in this movie, and they look and act like you would see like in old police shows, like Chips, and it just makes so little sense. It was just like, when is this movie? What are you talking about? Why does DNA testing exist now in the late 60s? I am so confused. Okay, we do need to talk about Elaine as a character. Now, aside from her just being a pick-me, she is like the ultimate, because she's essentially a Stepford wife, which is something that they lampshade later in the third act, and she's still doing it though. Just calling it out doesn't mean that it's not what's happening. And like, she's very much obsessed with the idea of love. She wants to find somebody who will love her as much as she loves them. The problem comes in that she doesn't really want them to change, because she falls in love with that mask that most people have when they first start dating somebody. So when it gets past that for any reason, she's just like, oh my God, they had so many emotions. And then she'll ditch them, or they'll just die. And, you know, well, they all die in some way or another, but yeah, she's not a great partner. And even though it sounds like there's some stuff in there that heavily implies a very specific sort of trauma, but they don't really dig into any of it. So since Elaine is an unreliable protagonist, we can't really trust what she says, because the things she does versus what she says and what she wants don't match. And it's real hard in a lot of different ways to stick with her, really, with any of the characters. Nobody in this movie is really likable by the end of the movie. Like, they all end up being like creeps or murderers or potentially people who committed SA at different points. It's kind of a lot. But the movie itself is actually really like crazy, and it's hilarious to watch. It does like kind of hit that scary area, just because if you take away the camp from it at all, Elaine is a complete sociopath. So yeah, I mean, there's that, because she's totally obsessed and very much feels like she doesn't actually, like, she has a specific goal. She wants to be in love. She wants somebody to love her the way she loves them. I get that. But then it's like she doesn't actually know what that means, and she doesn't know how relationships actually work. She has like this ideal and nobody's able to meet it, so oh no, they all end up dead. We get a weird single white female scene in the third act of the movie that kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, maybe it's just because I'm a guy, or I just have never experienced this, but I have never once gone to drop off something at a friend's house and then start going through their stuff, putting on their clothes, and dancing around pretending to be them. This movie is definitely fun to watch. Like, I saw it on Peacock, but I also saw it on like 10 different other streaming services. So you got a lot of options if you do want to check it out. I almost forgot. One of my favorite like random bits that happens in this movie is like in the third act, when we have Elaine sort of fall in love with somebody and she feels like it's real, a wild Renaissance festival just appears near where they're having their date. And it comes out of nowhere. It feels like they both passed out and this is a weird dream sequence or a drug trip, which would also be period appropriate for the feel of this movie. I laughed my ass off because it just literally comes out of nowhere. I'm just like, they're riding horses, they're riding like what you would think you would see like in a movie where people are riding horses down a beach dramatically. It's like white billowy shirts, jodhpurs, and then they get off the horses, tie them up, and all of a sudden you hear lutes and you hear panpipes just in the distance, and they wander over there, and what do you know? It's a Renaissance festival for reasons that are plot appropriate, I guess. But Michelle, this was your pick. I very much appreciate it. But if I missed something, please tell me. Like, stitch onto this or put it in the comments or DM me. That's fine too. I really want to know like somebody else's view of this other than the director and me, because her and I seem to have wildly different takes on what this movie is, and it also seems, based on some of the stuff in the AV Club interview, her and I may have some trauma that grinds against each other and would probably piss each of us off in different ways. So, yay! But I'll be back with another one tomorrow.